Imagine standing at the base of a mountain, looking up. The peak seems impossibly high, the journey ahead uncertain. But here's the truth. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. It can either keep you at the bottom, stuck in fear, or push you forward step by step until you conquer the summit. Every challenge, every setback, every obstacle you face is an opportunity to train your mind. Today, I want to share 6 principles that will help you develop the mental resilience to overcome anything. Most people see obstacles as roadblocks, but what if they were stepping stones instead? What if every failure, every rejection, every loss was a lesson designed to make you stronger? Think about the moments in your life when you faced hardship, the moments when everything seemed to crumble and the weight of failure felt unbearable. In those moments, what did you do? Did you give up or did you find a way forward? The truth is, adversity is not meant to break us, it's meant to build us. It's not about what happens to us, it's about how we interpret it, how we react, and what we do next. Thomas Edison understood this when his laboratory burned down, destroying years of work. He didn't mourn the loss. Instead, he looked at his son and said, "Thank goodness, all our mistakes were burned up. Now we can start again, fresh." That's the kind of mindset that changes the world. A year later, Edison invented the phonograph. He didn't see the fire as a tragedy. He saw it as an opportunity. He reframed his challenge and turned it into motivation. That shift in perspective is what separates those who succeed from those who give up. It's the difference between stagnation and growth. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" Every struggle carries with it the seed of an equal or greater advantage, but it's up to us to find it. It's easy to get stuck in a cycle of self-pity, to believe that the universe is conspiring against us, that success is for others, not for us. But that's just a story we tell ourselves. And if we have the power to create that narrative, we also have the power to rewrite it. What if instead of seeing ourselves as victims of circumstance, we saw ourselves as architects of our future? What if we understood that within every setback lies the potential for a breakthrough? Consider the times you have been told no, the times you applied for a job and didn't get it, the times you poured your heart into something only to see it fail. Each of those moments had the power to define you, but only if you let them. Instead of seeing rejection as proof that you're not good enough, see it as proof that you're trying, that you're pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, that you are in the game while others are watching from the sidelines. There is a story about a young boy who wanted to play basketball. He tried out for his high school team and was cut. That boy was Michael Jordan. Imagine if he had taken that moment as a definitive statement of his worth. Imagine if he had quit. The world would never have witnessed his greatness. But he didn't quit. He used that rejection as fuel, as motivation, as a reason to work harder than ever before. And the rest is history. The most successful people in the world are not those who never fail. They are those who refuse to let failure define them. They are those who get up one more time than they fall. They understand that resilience is not just a skill, it's a mindset. It's a way of looking at the world that turns every obstacle into an opportunity. And that mindset is available to all of us if we choose it. When we reframe challenges as opportunities, we unlock potential we never knew we had. We begin to see setbacks as setups for something greater. We stop fearing failure and start embracing it as part of the journey. And that shift in perspective changes everything. Imagine what would happen if we applied this to our daily lives. If instead of seeing problems, we saw possibilities. If we approach every difficulty with curiosity instead of fear, if we understood that growth comes not from comfort but from struggle, how much more could we accomplish? How much more impact could we make? The world is full of people who stopped short of their dreams because they allowed obstacles to define their limits. But the truth is, limits are only real if we believe in them. Every great achievement in history was once considered impossible until someone did it. And the people who did it were not extraordinary in the way we think. They didn't have superpowers. They had something more powerful, the belief that challenges are just opportunities in disguise. The moment you shift your perspective, you change your reality. You stop seeing closed doors and start looking for new ways in. You stop waiting for permission and start creating your own path. You stop being afraid of failure and start using it as a tool for success. And that is how real transformation happens. So the next time you face a challenge, take a step back, look at it differently. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can I use this to grow? How can I turn this into an advantage? Because the moment you start asking those questions, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming the author of your own story. Every challenge is an invitation to rise higher, to think differently, to become stronger. The choice is yours. Will you see it as a roadblock, or will you see it as a stepping stone? Will you let it stop you, or will you let it propel you forward? The power is in your hands. It always has been. Our emotions are powerful forces, shaping the way we experience the world, the way we make decisions, and the way we interact with others. They can be our greatest allies or our biggest obstacles. Left unchecked, they can derail us. Mastered, they can be the fuel that propels us forward. So the question is, who is in control? You or your emotions? When we get angry, we react. When we're afraid, we hesitate. When we're overwhelmed, we shut down. And in those moments, when we give in to the immediate impulse, we surrender control. Think about a time when you lashed out in anger and later regretted it, or a moment when fear held you back from speaking up or taking a chance. What if instead of reacting, we learn to respond? What if instead of letting emotions control us, we use them as tools to sharpen our focus and guide our decisions? Look at the greatest athletes before the biggest moments of their careers. Their hearts are racing, their nerves are firing, their minds are filled with the weight of expectation. But the best among them don't let fear dictate their actions. They don't panic, they don't choke, they channel their emotions, they breathe. They focus. They turn fear into fuel. They know that control over emotions doesn't mean suppressing them. It means using them. Imagine a fighter pilot in the middle of a dogfight. Every instinct screams at them to panic, to flee, to act on impulse. But they don't, because they've trained, because they understand that survival depends on controlling their emotions. They rely on discipline, on deep breathing, on focus. And this ability to stay calm under pressure is what separates those who succeed from those who falter. It's not just in high-stakes professions where emotional control matters. It matters in leadership, in business, in relationships, in life. A leader who lets frustration dictate their tone will lose the trust of their team. A business person who panics at every setback will never take the necessary risks to achieve real success. A person who allows fear of rejection to hold them back will never build deep, meaningful connections. Emotional control is the foundation of clarity, of purpose, of success. There's a simple yet powerful practice that can change everything: the pause. When you feel anger rising, when anxiety takes hold, when frustration clouds your thinking, stop. Take 3 deep breaths, just 3. This moment of stillness interrupts the cycle of emotional reaction and allows your rational mind to take over. It resets your perspective. It turns an impulsive reaction into a deliberate response. And it is in this response that power lies. We all know people who seem unshakable, the ones who, no matter what's happening around them, remain calm, composed, and collected. It's not that they don't feel emotions. It's that they've trained themselves to respond rather than react. They've built the habit of taking that pause, of centering themselves before making a decision. And because of that, they make better choices. They inspire confidence. They lead with clarity. Now, this isn't easy. It takes practice. It takes self-awareness. It takes the willingness to acknowledge that we don't always have control over what happens to us, but we always have control over how we respond. We can't prevent challenges. We can't stop fear from creeping in, but we can decide what we do with it. We can let it cripple us, or we can use it as motivation. We can let anger push us into conflict, or we can use it as a catalyst for change. We can let doubt hold us back, or we can use it as a signal to prepare more, to refine our skills, to grow. Think of the moments in your life when you felt most proud, most accomplished. Were they moments when everything was easy? Or were they moments when you overcame something difficult, when you faced fear and moved forward anyway? Growth happens in those moments. Strength is built in the space between emotion and action. The more we practice emotional control, the more we strengthen that muscle, the more we become the kind of person who leads with intention rather than impulse. This isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about mastering it. It's about recognizing that emotions are signals, not commands. That fear doesn't mean stop. It means prepare. That anger doesn't mean attack. It means something matters to us. That sadness doesn't mean despair. It means we've lost something valuable. When we understand this, we stop being victims of our emotions and start using them as tools for growth, for understanding, for action. So the next time you feel your emotions taking over, remember this: pause, breathe, take back control, respond with intention. Because the people who master their emotions don't just navigate the world more effectively, They shape it. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent, it's not intelligence, luck, or connections. It's something far more powerful, far more within our control. It's persistence. There's a universal truth that we don't talk about enough. Success isn't about never failing. It's about never stopping. It's about the relentless pursuit of something bigger than ourselves, something that drives us even when the world tells us to quit. Think about the stories that inspire us the most. They aren't about people who had everything handed to them. They aren't about those who breeze through life without resistance. They're about the ones who were told no again and again, but refused to accept it. They're about the ones who stood up, dusted themselves off, and tried one more time. J.K. Rowling's name is known in every household today, but there was a time when nobody believed in her story. A dozen publishers rejected her manuscript. A dozen doors closed in her face. Imagine how easy it would have been for her to give up, to assume the world was right. But she didn't. She persisted. She believed in the power of her work, even when no one else did. And because she kept going, millions of people around the world were given a story that shaped their childhoods, their imaginations, their lives. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. Fired. By people who didn't see what he saw, by people who couldn't dream on the scale he could, but instead of letting their judgment define him, he defined himself. He kept going. He refused to let someone else's short-sightedness determine his future. He persisted, and in doing so, he built something greater than anyone could have imagined. This is the truth we often overlook. The key to success isn't the absence of obstacles. It's the ability to push forward despite them. It's the ability to keep taking steps when the path is unclear, when self-doubt creeps in, when the critic's voices grow louder. It's about showing up every single day, doing the work, and trusting that each small step forward is part of a much bigger journey. The problem is we're conditioned to expect instant results. We live in a world of immediate gratification, where everything is designed to be faster, easier, more convenient. We celebrate overnight success stories, forgetting that they were years in the making. We see the highlight reels, but not the countless hours of unseen effort. And so when our own progress feels slow, we start to question ourselves. We start to wonder if we're wasting our time, if we're just not cut out for it. But here's what we must remember. Progress isn't always visible. Some of the most important growth happens beneath the surface, in the moments when it feels like nothing is changing. Imagine a seed buried in the ground. For days, weeks, maybe even months, you see nothing. But beneath the soil, something is happening. Roots are growing, stretching, strengthening. And then one day, a tiny sprout breaks through. But that moment of breakthrough didn't happen overnight. It was the result of persistence, of unseen progress that was happening all along. That's how success works. It's not one grand leap. It's 1,000 tiny steps, taken consistently day after day, even when we don't feel like it, even when it feels pointless, even when we're tired, discouraged, and tempted to quit. Because every step counts, every effort compounds. Every moment of persistence is another brick in the foundation of something great. Look at any great achievement in history, and you'll find a story of persistence behind it. Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. These aren't just stories. They're proof that setbacks aren't signs to stop. They're tests. They ask us how much we really want it. They ask us if we're willing to keep going when it gets hard. And those who do, they're the ones who make history. But persistence isn't just about big dreams or career success. It's about the way we live our lives. It's about pushing through the difficult conversations, the moments of doubt, the struggles in relationships, health, personal growth. It's about staying committed to becoming better, even when change feels slow. It's about showing up for ourselves and those around us, even when it's hard. So the question is, how do we develop this habit? How do we train ourselves to persist when everything inside us screams to give up? First, we have to remember why we started. When things get tough, it's easy to forget the initial spark that ignited our journey. Reconnect with that. Remind yourself why this matters, why it's worth fighting for, why quitting isn't an option. Second, we must focus on consistency over intensity. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who sprint and burn out. They're the ones who keep showing up day after day, doing the small things that add up over time. Success isn't built in a day, but it is built daily. Third, we have to embrace failure as part of the process. We have to stop seeing setbacks as the end and start seeing them as stepping stones. Every failure carries a lesson. Every rejection is a redirection. Every obstacle is an opportunity to grow stronger. And finally, we must surround ourselves with people who believe in us, who push us to keep going even when we doubt ourselves. The journey of persistence isn't meant to be walked alone. We need support, encouragement, reminders that we're capable of more than we think. So here's the truth. Talent will only get you so far. Intelligence, luck, and opportunity, they all matter, but they aren't the deciding factors. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is simple. It's the ability to keep going, to keep pushing, to refuse to quit. Because the people who change the world aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who persisted. And that, more than anything, is what will set you apart. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. If we want to be better, if we want to be stronger, if we want to be great, we must be willing to step into the discomfort that comes with change. Because real progress isn't found in the easy moments. It's found in the struggle. It's found in the tension between where we are and where we want to be. Think about the moments in life when you've grown the most. Were they when everything was easy, smooth, and predictable? Or were they the moments that challenged you, that forced you to dig deep, to stretch beyond what you thought was possible? Growth is never comfortable. It demands that we challenge ourselves, that we lean into uncertainty, that we willingly put ourselves in situations where failure is a real possibility. And that's terrifying, but it's also where transformation happens. Imagine you walk into a gym for the first time. You grab a set of weights and start lifting. At first, it's easy. You feel strong. You feel capable. But then as the reps increase, as the weight gets heavier, discomfort sets in. Your arms shake. Your muscles burn. Your mind starts whispering, maybe you should stop. Maybe this is enough. But here's the truth. That moment, the moment when it gets hard, is exactly where the growth begins. If you stop at the first sign of discomfort, you never build strength. You stay the same. And the same principle applies to everything in life. We are wired for comfort. Our brains seek safety, stability, and certainty. But that instinct, while helpful in moments of danger, often holds us back from becoming who we are meant to be. The great innovators, the trailblazers, the people who change the world, they don't shy away from discomfort. They embrace it. They seek it out. They understand that discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's a sign that they're moving in the right direction. Look at any great achievement throughout history. It wasn't built on comfort. It was built on resilience, on a willingness to endure hardship, on the relentless pursuit of something greater. The greatest athletes push themselves beyond their limits. The greatest leaders stand firm in the face of adversity. The greatest minds continue forward even when the path ahead is uncertain. And the reason they succeed isn't because they're fearless. It's because they've trained their minds to see discomfort as an opportunity, not a threat. The next time you face a challenge, pay attention to that voice in your head, the one that tells you to back down, to retreat, to return to what's comfortable. Instead of listening, lean in. Acknowledge the discomfort. Recognize that this is the moment where you have a choice. To remain as you are or to push forward into something greater. Instead of saying, this is too hard, say, this is where I grow. Instead of shrinking away, take a step forward. Because every time you choose to embrace discomfort, you are building resilience, strengthening your mind, and proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Think about the people you admire most. They didn't get to where they are by playing it safe. They took risks. They faced rejection. They experienced failure. But they kept going. They understood that setbacks are not the end of the road. They are stepping stones on the path to greatness. What would happen if we stopped avoiding discomfort and started embracing it? What if, instead of fearing failure, we saw it as a necessary part of success? What if we reframed the way we see struggle, not as something to run from, but as something to run toward? Imagine the kind of person you could become. Imagine the strength you would build, the confidence you would gain, the impact you could make. This mindset isn't just about personal growth. It's about leadership. True leaders don't avoid challenges. They take them on. They don't shy away from difficult conversations. They have them. They don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They take action despite the uncertainty. And in doing so, they inspire those around them to do the same. Because when we choose to embrace discomfort, we don't just change ourselves, we change the people around us. We set a new standard. We create a culture of resilience, of courage, of strength. This is the kind of mindset that changes companies. It's the kind of mindset that builds movements. It's the kind of mindset that transforms lives. And it all starts with a choice to lean into discomfort, a choice to challenge yourself, A choice to see every difficulty, every obstacle, every moment of uncertainty as an opportunity to grow. So the next time you find yourself at the edge of something hard, whether it's a new project, a difficult conversation, or a moment of self-doubt, remember this. That feeling of discomfort, that's the moment where transformation begins. That's the moment where transformation begins. And the only thing standing between you and who you want to become is your willingness to embrace it. Your mind is a powerful machine, constantly running, constantly narrating, constantly shaping your world. It is the storyteller of your life. The question is, what kind of story is it telling? Is it a story of strength, resilience, and growth? Or is it one of fear, limitation, and doubt? Every great leader, every visionary, every person who has ever defied the odds has understood one thing: the power of the mind, the ability to control the narrative within. The way we speak to ourselves determines the way we show up in the world. And the way we show up in the world determines the impact we create. Think about Michael Jordan, a young boy with dreams too big for the reality he was living in. A high school kid who was cut from his basketball team. That could have been the end of his story. That moment could have defined him. He could have told himself, I'm not good enough. I'm not meant for this. And if he had believed that narrative, we would have never seen one of the greatest athletes of all time. But instead, he chose a different story. He chose to say, not yet. He chose to turn rejection into motivation. He chose to work harder than anyone else. Our beliefs shape our behavior. If you tell yourself that you are not capable, not worthy, not strong enough, you will start to act in alignment with that belief. You will hold back, you will hesitate, you will find excuses. And then, without realizing it, you will prove yourself right. But what if you change the story? What if, instead of seeing obstacles as proof that you're not good enough, you saw them as tests, as challenges designed to make you stronger? What if, instead of saying, I can't do this, you said, I haven't mastered this yet, but I will? What if every failure, every rejection, every setback became fuel for your growth? Our minds are wired to protect us. They want to keep us safe. And safety often means staying where we are. Safety means avoiding risk. Safety means not putting ourselves in situations where we could fail. But growth is on the other side of fear. The greatest achievements, the most meaningful successes come from those who learn to quiet the voice of doubt and amplify the voice of possibility. Consider the most defining moments of your life. The times you took a risk, the times you faced something terrifying but stepped forward anyway. Those moments shaped you. They taught you what you were made of. They built you into who you are today. And yet, even with all that proof, our minds still whisper, what if I'm not enough? It is in those moments that we have a choice to believe the doubt, or to rewrite the script, a choice to let fear dictate our actions or to take control of the narrative. Because here's the truth. The stories we tell ourselves become the reality we live. If we believe we are destined for greatness, we will find a way. If we believe we are capable of figuring things out, we will. If we believe that setbacks are setups for comebacks, we will keep moving forward. There's a reason why some people rise and some people stay stuck. It's not talent, it's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's belief. The belief that they can, the belief that they will, the belief that the voice in their head that says you're not good enough is a liar. Imagine what your life would look like if you took control of your inner dialogue. If you started speaking to yourself with the same encouragement, the same love, the same belief that you would offer to a close friend. Imagine replacing I'm not ready with I am preparing. Replacing I always fail with I'm learning. Replacing I don't belong here with I am exactly where I need to be. Think of the people who inspire you, the ones who push boundaries, who change the world, who live with unshakable confidence. Do you think they never had doubts? Do you think they never struggled with fear? Of course they did. The difference is they chose not to let it define them. They chose to override the doubt with action. They chose to replace the fear with faith in themselves. They chose to take control of their own story. And you can too, because the truth is you are already enough. You already have everything within you to become the person you were meant to be. But you have to believe it first. You have to change the way you speak to yourself. You have to decide that your future will not be determined by old fears, old failures, or old limitations. You have to make the conscious choice every single day to write a different story. It's not easy. It takes practice. It takes awareness. It takes catching yourself when the doubt creeps in and choosing a different thought. It takes reminding yourself again and again that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you are strong. But if you do this, if you commit to rewriting the narrative in your mind, you will see your world transform. You will take more risks. You will create more opportunities. You will show up with more confidence, more resilience, more determination. And that is when you will realize that the only thing that was ever standing in your way was the story you were telling yourself. So choose your story wisely, because the moment you change your mind, you change your life. There is something undeniably powerful about the people we choose to keep close, the relationships we nurture, the conversations we engage in, the energy we allow into our lives. These shape who we become. We often underestimate the influence of our environment. We assume that we alone dictate our success, that our willpower and ambition are enough to carry us forward. But look closely at the most extraordinary individuals in any field, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders. None of them rise to the top alone. They surround themselves with people who fuel their passion, sharpen their skills, and push them beyond what they thought was possible. Imagine an elite athlete stepping onto the field without a coach, without a team, without a support system. Their raw talent might get them far, but not to greatness. Greatness demands more. It demands the kind of environment where excellence is expected, where growth is constant, and where failure is simply part of the process. The truth is, we become like the people we spend the most time with. If we are surrounded by voices of doubt, negativity, and fear, those voices begin to take root in our own minds. They whisper that we aren't good enough, that we shouldn't dream too big, that we should stay where it's safe. And over time, without realizing it, we shrink, we hesitate, we stop believing in our own potential. But the opposite is also true. When we choose to surround ourselves with people who inspire us, who challenge us, who refuse to let us settle for mediocrity, something incredible happens. We rise, we think bigger, we push harder, we begin to see our own capabilities in a new light. Think back to a time when you accomplished something you once thought was impossible. Maybe it was landing a job you didn't feel qualified for. Maybe it was running a marathon when you doubted your endurance. Maybe it was stepping onto a stage, speaking up in a meeting, or pursuing a dream despite the uncertainty. Now ask yourself, who was standing beside you? Who encouraged you? Who refused to let you quit? The people around us shape our beliefs about ourselves. That's why it is so important to be intentional about who we let into our inner circle. Look at your relationships. Who lifts you higher? Who challenges you in a way that makes you better? And who, perhaps unintentionally, holds you back? Sometimes the hardest decisions we make are about distance. It's not about cutting people out of our lives with coldness or resentment. It's about recognizing that in order to grow, we need to spend more time with those who elevate us and less time with those who keep us stuck. It's about seeking out mentors who expand our vision, peers who inspire us, and communities that foster the best in us. Consider this: the most successful people in the world don't spend their time just anywhere. They invest their time in relationships that fuel their mission. They seek out coaches, masterminds, and accountability partners. They understand that success isn't a solo journey. It's a team effort. Even in the darkest moments, the right people can change everything. When we doubt ourselves, they remind us of our strength. When we face setbacks, they remind us that failure is not the end. When we feel like giving up, they refuse to let us. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your greatness, even when you forget it yourself. Find those who see potential in you that you have yet to recognize. And most importantly, be that person for others. Because the greatest gift we can give is belief. Belief in another's potential, belief in their ability to rise, belief in their dreams when they're on the verge of giving up. We don't succeed alone. We never have. And if we want to create something truly remarkable, a life, a career, a legacy, it starts with choosing the right people to walk the journey with us. Training your mind is like training a muscle. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes effort, practice, and persistence. But when you commit to it, when you learn to reframe challenges, control your emotions, persist, embrace discomfort, shift your mindset, and surround yourself with the right people, you become unstoppable. You have everything you need within you. The only question is, will you train your mind to rise, or will you let the world dictate your limits? The choice is yours.